Abortion, in many ways the easiest of all questions to tackle. People like writing about the topic of abortion in exams because they consider it a very straightforward and easy one to tackle, and that's right. But the problem with it is, of course, the fact that people go into the topic with very clearly established views already. And how do you tackle academically, objectively, and clearly a topic on which you're really determined you know the answer? You either approach it from the point of view of women's reproductive health and that abortion is a key part of women having control over their own bodies, or you approach it from a staunchly religious viewpoint in which you consider that once a fetus is conceived, then it becomes a living thing with the same rights as other living things, and therefore abortion's murder. It's like there's no middle ground. And as I explore these different topics, they tend to be so many grey areas, but this doesn't seem to be one of them. And how we actually develop and expand that, well, it's a minefield. So let's just unpack it a little bit. Generally, we have what we would call the liberal viewpoint, the one that says that reproductive health of women is a given and that abortion is part of that process. Ever since abortion became legalized in the UK, then since that point, there's been an increase in access to it. It's not freely given. You have to have doctor's consent, and there has to be an argument that says it is justifiable. But nevertheless, with things like morning after pills and ideas like that, it has become increasingly easy to do that. And certainly, I think we can all picture the scene of when someone is the victim of sexual assault or where someone's life is at risk, then terminating the pregnancy is something that should seriously be unpacked. And even those most ardent anti-abortionists would accept there is a debate to be had there. So here's the first point. If there are certain situations where it is allowed, all that really we're talking about then is how we define what those situations are and who makes those decisions. Is it the pregnant woman? Well, of course, different pregnant women have different approaches and different understandings of how that might work. Is it the courts? Is it the medical profession? Now, our job as thinkers is to simply explore each of those in turn. The absolute view, the view that abortion is murder and should not under any circumstances be allowed, is a harder one to debate, because if you believe it, then you are down in a question like, well, can murder ever be justified? Well, maybe it can. It may well be that you could justify killing someone if it furthered the life of someone else. And that's often known as the principle of utility. What has the best and most sensible and most useful outcome for people that are exploring this topic? And if there is an outcome which is better in certain circumstances, then maybe abortion should be allowed in certain circumstances. I'd like to share with you the thoughts of the Canadian government as they were exploring whether or not to legalize abortion back in the day. And the problem as they saw it was that a lot of women were seeking to terminate pregnancies illegally, what we would call backstreet abortions. And to do so not only obviously terminated the pregnancy, but also put the mother's life in danger. And we might reasonably say, as they did, a law that has more bad effects than good ones is a bad law, and therefore the law should be changed to permit abortion and the termination of pregnancy. Now, groups like the Catholic Church are never going to agree with that. They're always going to say that the most vulnerable in society need protecting, and you don't get anyone more vulnerable than an unborn fetus. They of all need the most protection. And that's your debate. I don't have an answer to give you, unfortunately. I wish I did. But you have your own answer, and the challenge for you very often will be to think of the answer that's different to your own and to build up that academic answer. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks ever so much for watching. Take care. Subscribe to the channel. See you again.